ever wondered how did the states of Germany get their names? Well, it's a perfect chance to find out in this reaction. Let's go.
We have the Romans to thank for the name Germany. In
Okay.
fact, none other than the most famous
Sounds
Roman
good.
himself, Julius Caesar. In one of his writings, he spoke of a tribal people he called the Germani, people the Roman had come into contact with who resided in modern-day Germany. And because of these people, the Romans dubbed their land the Germania, which transformed into the name Germany we have today.
Oh,
Though
seriously?
it wasn't just the Germani people who lived in this land. All kinds of different tribes of people lived in the lands that would become Germany, and all these tribes had different names. Because of this, different outsiders gave the land different names depending on what Germanic tribe they first met or had to deal with most. In example, the French dealt a lot with the Alemanni tribe, so to them the country became Allemagne. Meanwhile, Finnic speakers in Finland and Estonia interacted more with the Saxon tribes, so named the land Saxa after them. While all these other people
Wow, that's amazing, man. So basically, some names come from foreigners. This is how it looks like.
were given their land a name, the actual people of the land thought of themselves as just people, so named the land after their word for of the people, which was Fudisk, which eventually evolved into the German name for Germany, Deutschland. Now, while this video isn't really about how the nation as a whole got a selection of its many names, I feel it's only right to start with this, as the many names of Germany kind of explains to us just how important the various regions of Germany are. Germany really is a country built on its regions. For the longest time in history, there was no nation called Germany, but just a collection of Germanic states that shared very little in common other than languages that all sounded somewhat similar, and it stayed this way all the way up until the 18th of January.
This is crazy how this amount of people, these guys were able to unify Germany. It makes me I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. They had the balls, to do it. They didn't care. They just said, let's do it. Let's unify Germany. Let's make it like one big country.
January 1871,
Otto von
after
Bismarck.
the French, the various Germanic states were unified simply into the single nation of Germany. This was all done under the guidance of Otto von Bismarck, a statesman who went on to become the first Chancellor of Germany, and luckily enough was an incredibly German-looking man himself. What a coincidence. Because for so long, Germany was little more than an ununified series of states, many of these states built strong images for themselves, and are perhaps just as well known as the nation as a whole. A name like Bavaria conjures up a strong image in one's mind of greenery, castles and beer, whereas Berlin conjures up an image of modern history and a much more modern design.
And techno.
At least for me it does anyway. And Bavaria and Berlin are both states of Germany, except you may have noticed that one is a huge area of land and one's just a single city. This is because the states of Germany really do vary in size like this, which you will see as we look into them. And Germany has an incredibly rich history, in that many states have disappeared, or have only come into existence in the last 30 years or so. I really don't think there are many countries that have changed their borders as much as Germany has.
Let's take a look. Federal Republic of Germany, yes. West Germany, this is the map after the Second World War, yeah? East Germany, West Germany, yeah, and France and Britain occupied parts over here. Yeah.
Just look at maps of Germany throughout history. Today, however, we're looking to the here and now, and today Germany comprises of 16 states, so it's these 16 names we'll be looking into, and as for their names, it's their English names we'll be checking out. Whilst, as we mentioned, the country itself has really different names in English and German, the names of its states aren't as different. On the whole, they aren't completely different names with different meanings for the states between languages, it's just that in their English names, words we have in English are spelt in English. I'm rambling now. This will make more sense as we go along. And let's start up in the north of Germany with the state of Schleswig-Holstein. This state, as mentioned, is the most northern point of Germany, and its northernmost border is Denmark's southernmost border. Because of how close the land is to Denmark, there have been wars and arguments over which country owns the land, and it has even belonged to both countries. Because of
Seriously? You had the conflicts with Denmark about this part? Probably not conflicts, but I mean... even having some kind of talks about this territory with Denmark, it's already for me it's a new information. I would ever guess.
Yes, there's a very mixed population of Germans and Danes living in this land.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
It's also nicknamed the land between two seas, as to its east is the Baltic Sea and to its west is the East Sea, which saying out loud is pretty weird, but we live on a globe. One person's east is another's west. The name of this state is of course from joining up the two historic states of Schleswig and Holstein. The name at Schleswig comes from the Schlei, an inlet from the Baltic Sea in this land.
Wow.
And the Wig/Wig suffix means bay in Old Norse, so the name means the Bay of the Schlei. The Holstein
wow.
part of the name is believed to come from a tribe of people who lived here called the Holkte, which is believed to mean dwellers in the wood. To the east of this, we have Mecklenburg West Pomerania, which is known as Mecklenburg-Vorpommern in German. This state seems to take pride in their natural landscapes, almost 2,000 kilometers of coastline
That's
on the Baltic
beautiful.
Sea, and the picturesque ancient towns that look like they have come out of fairy tales. The current Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel,
It literally does. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
has a constituency in this state. Like with the previous state, this state's name derives from merging the historic regions of Mecklenburg and West Pomerania.
What a castle, my gosh. Around the lake like that. I wonder which year it was built. My goodness, it's beautiful. Looks like Hogwarts, you know.
The region of Mecklenburg was named after a castle that once stood here called Mecklenburg Castle, and it's believed this name means in Saxon a big castle, so despite the fact this castle no longer stands, we can presume it would have been pretty big. And of course, West Pomerania comes from the fact that it was the western part of the former region of Pomerania, with Pomerania being a region that runs across the Baltic Sea in what is now Germany and Poland. Because part of Pomerania was Polish, the name comes from the Polish pomorzie, meaning by the sea, as it's by the Baltic Sea. And yes, a certain species of dog has this region to thank for its name.
What?
As I mentioned, some of these states are simply just cities, and the city of Hamburg is one of them. Hamburg is the second largest city in all of Germany. It's also huge, just as
And also, Hamburg is the hometown of hamburger. Yes, this is what I learned from the German videos.
many people live in the greater
Videos about
Hamburg
Germany.
area as they do in the entire country of Norway, and Hamburg's harbour is almost as big as Copenhagen. It's a huge maritime industrial city that is a state unto itself. With Hamburg, you'll once again see the Berg suffix, which means castle, but the ham part is thought to possibly mean bend/angle, as the city was built on a bend of a river. And of course, a certain kind of food has this city to thank for its name too. The
Exactly.
smallest of all of Germany's states is called Bremen. It's actually
Bremen.
split between two separate land areas.
We call it Bremen. We also in Riga city center we have like a small monument. Bremen musicians, the famous. I think I don't know who wrote the story. Yes, if you know, write it in the comment section. Yes, basically there was this like a donkey, cock. Yes. And and two other animals I forgot, guys, I really forgot, but basically we have a monument of them. They're standing on each other in city center in Riga. If you visit Riga, you will understand what I mean. In old city you'll find it.
Both are within another region we'll talk about next. Not only is Bremen the smallest state, but it's also the least populated in Germany, consisting of just the city of Bremen and Bremenhaven. The city's name is
so
thought to come from
old.
the Saxon Blem or Bremen,
Looks so old and authentic.
which means edge or brim, as the city was built on the edge/brim of the river Weser. As mentioned, the state of Bremen is completely engulfed in another state, with that state being Lower Saxony, which in German is called Niedersachsen. Lower Saxony is Germany's second largest state in size. It seems this state is really well known for their horses, so much so there's a horse on their flag and coat of arms. The Saxony part of this name comes from the name of the Saxon Germanic tribe, who
Wait. Saxony also had a horse on their flag before they became part of Germany, isn't it?
along the Germanic Angles helped form the Anglo-Saxons, who inhabited the island of
Britain. Oh, seriously?
Saxons thought to come from the German Saxa, meaning warriors with knives, coming from the Old Norse Sax, meaning knife/sword/dagger. Now, this of course also
is crazy,
explains
man.
how the region of just Saxony got its name, which is more in the south of Germany. Though this brings up the question of why there is somewhere called Lower Saxony that is more northern than the state of just Saxony. Well, the lower in Lower Saxony doesn't relate to cardinal directions, but more elevation. Just Saxony contains some of the Alps, and of course the Alps are rather high, so the Saxons who didn't live in the Alps were lower down, hence.
Listen, this looks more like India or China, you know, those videos where they go through with the train through the hills. Oh my goodness gracious, I would never guess that in Germany there's such a beautiful. I knew that in Germany is beautiful views, but this one is phenomenal. Oh my gosh, I just love perfect views.
Why they are Lower Saxony, despite being more northern. The name of Saxony also appears in the name of the region of Saxony-Anhalt too, which is east of Lower Saxony. We know all about the Saxony part now, so what about the Anhalt part? It seems the Anhalt part originates from a ruined castle called Anhalt Castle, though from where the name of this castle comes from we don't seem to know. In the east of Germany we have the state of Brandenburg, and if you're anything like myself, you may be shocked to hear that Brandenburg is more than just a big fancy gate. While the state may be home to the city of Potsdam, 1/3 of the region is protected land with mountains, tree-lined roads, and lakes. We have the Berg part once again meaning castle, and I read the Brandon part means burn, so the name means burnt castle, which is pretty cool, but why this castle is burning, however, I couldn't find out.
Cool.
And within the state of Brandenburg, we have the state of Berlin, which, like Hamburg and Bremen, is the single city that is also a whole state. And of course, Berlin is the capital of Germany. It's a city steeped in a huge amount of history, as one of my personal favorite cities in the world. Seriously, go to Berlin. As for where
how much people live in Berlin? It looks very, 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 very big. Let's say without the outskirts of the city, outskirts. Like I would guess. Okay, I'll go 3 million. Okay, 3 million. Write your without looking in please without looking in Google. Yeah, tell me your opinion. How much people live in Berlin? In comment section.
The name comes from, we have a few ideas. Berlin is a city heavily associated with bears. There's
Seriously?
even a bear on their flag, and the name was thought to come from the name of these animals, coming from the German bar, meaning
no
bear.
way.
But this is now considered something of a folk etymology. Today, it's thought to come from Slavic sources, meaning things like swamp or marshy place, as the city was initially founded on low marshy swampland. In the west of Germany, we have the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. This is
just talking about the Berlin. Wait, is it really about the bear? Is it about the bear? Because word bear is English word. Yeah, I know that German and English have some similarities, but isn't the bear like different in German? No? Yes? I don't know.
Dortmund. This state was formed in 1946 from the previous provinces of Westphalia and just the northern part of the Rhine province. The name Westphalia comes from west as it's in the west, and Phalia comes from a Germanic term meaning flat/level, so the name means West Flatlands. Germany also has an Eastphalia, but that name doesn't seem to be used too much in any modern sense. The North Rhine part comes of course from the Rhine River in West Germany, with this river's name coming from an ancient root meaning to flow. In central Germany we have the state of Hesse. It seems that the name for this state is much like Saxony, in the fact it is named after settlers of the land, the Hessian tribe, though I was unable to find out where their name came from. Though, interestingly, for those with knowledge of the American Revolution, the word Hessian may ring a bell, as the German troops hired by the British to help them in the revolution were also known as the Hessians, and much like with Hesse, the state of Thuringia is too named after the Germanic people who settled there, the Thuringi, though we aren't too sure how those people got their name either. South of here we have the states of Rhineland-Palatinate. The Rhine part we covered earlier with the Rhine River, but what about the Palatinate part of the name? This has more to do with wine than the Rhine, as it's one of Germany's largest wine-grown regions. In German, Palatinate is called Flats, and this means palace/high official residence. Saarland is a tiny nook of a state in the southwest of the country.
Saarland would probably be from word Tsar in Russian. No, Slavic word, maybe it's like Tsar. It's like a king, something like that.
Country is the smallest state apart from the aforementioned city-states, and its capital somewhat shares its name, being called Saarbrücken. The region is named after the Saar River, which runs through not just Germany but France too. Baden-Württemberg is Germany's third largest state, and it came into creation in 1952 when the three smaller states of Württemberg-Baden, and Württemberg-Hohenzollern merged together. We've had places named after people, castles and rivers, but it seems the Württemberg part of the name comes from a hill with the same name in the state's capital of Stuttgart, while the Baden part comes from the name of the spa town of Baden in the region, and Baden simply means bathing, kind of like how here in England we have a spa town called Bath. And finally, we have
Yes.
Germany's largest and perhaps most well-known state, minus the cities, Bavaria.
And it's...
The word conjures up the classic German image of lederhosen, beers, and beautiful scenery. Though, what about
So
that
beautiful.
name? Well, once again, we have a group of people to thank for it. This time the Celtic boy people, which turned into Latin boelia and eventually into Bavaria.
Oh,
So
wow,
whether you're
seriously?
drinking beers in Bavaria or eating hamburgers in, well, Hamburg,
It was long way coming.
now you have a better idea as to how the states of this wonderful nation got their names. The states of Germany were suggested by Sebastian, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as Name Explain's patron saint of the states of Germany. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a name?
Alright guys, as you noticed, a lot of names come from basically the location of the place or some other influences that was around the state or the city, you know. Let's say the land, the flat land, or the river, or the gulf. Wow, and sometimes, you know, we just don't think about it. We just don't think about it so deep. But sometimes it's nice to think, oh, why Riga is Riga? Why Berlin is Berlin, you know? So, wow, that was pretty interesting, I would say. If you have any suggestions, let me know in comment section. I would gladly react to your suggested content, guys. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell for notification, and see you in the next reaction videos. Bye.